Welcome everybody to the first ever episode of the Sober Boozers Club podcast, recorded in front of a live studio audience. They are there, I didn't dub that in, I promise you. I've got some fantastic guests here today. I've got a fantastic co-host, you are my co-host, I've decided, next to me.
Hello.
Hello, there we go, that was your cue. We're going to be breaking down the Dry January Challenge 2026. As you probably know, I'm very proud to be an ambassador for Alcohol Change UK. They are, in my opinion, the best darn charity in all the world. I've got some fantastic guests. We're going to talk about all things beer, sobriety, Dry January Challenge, probably a load of other shit, I don't know. Let me introduce them to you. We have the fantastic from Lucky Saint, which is where we are currently situated, the Lucky Saint pub in rainy London at the moment. I have got the fantastic Sarah Ashworth. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
Nice to have you here.
Nice to be here.
From Alcohol Change UK, I have got Bree Barros. How are you?
Doing well.
Did I pronounce that right?
Barrios.
Barrios.
Yeah.
I missed out on an I. That's my fault. Failed to prepare. And of course, from Counterculture Drinks, Tom Smart.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
So, thank you all for being here, first and foremost. It's a pleasure to have you here. This is John. I've already introduced you from Chance Clean Cider, of course, the best cider production company in the entire of the UK, in the non-alc sector, most certainly. We're talking about the Dry January Challenge. This year felt different. That's the kind of vibe that we're going with for this first half of the podcast episode. I'm going to start with you, Bree, if I may.
All right.
Because obviously the Dry January Challenge is a concept that was come up with by Alcohol Change UK. What was different about this year's Dry January Challenge? What have we done differently?
I think that we've done so much differently and so much the same. So in numbers, I think it's kind of amazing that 17.5 million people elected to go alcohol-free this year in January. And that's the highest number that we've had on record. That's from our pre-polling that we do in November. And the previous year, it had been 15 million, which we kind of thought maybe that's the biggest that the big number can get. So to see 17.5 million this year is incredible. And we are currently doing our post-campaign polling, so we will be getting those numbers shortly. But if we're looking at last year to see kind of what was the intention versus action, it was about 8 million people who decided to, in fact, take the month off, and another 8.8 million who reduced their alcohol intake in some way. So about 50-50 for intention versus who went through with that action. And this is where an important differentiation comes in. And John, I love the title of this podcast, the We're Still Drinking Just Differently. And another differentiation that we are doing is we're not just taking a month off of alcohol unsupported on our own, alone in a room, tallying the wall. Doing the Dry January Challenge means that you are on a supported behavior change journey with millions of other people who are also taking part. And that's why we make such noise around the difference between a DIY journey and doing the Dry January Challenge, because that means that you are supported with tools, with resources, with community, so that you are much more likely to complete a dry month. And we know when people are utilizing our free resources, they're twice as likely to complete a dry month. And more importantly, 70% of those people report healthier habits 6 months down the road, which is, of course, what we are after. We want to see those longer term behavior changes. And yes, the Dry January Challenge is an invitation to reset, to reflect, to pause, but it's also about what are you going to do carrying forward. And something that we did this year that I absolutely love is we leaned into the benefits and the motivations that we know prompt people to want to take that change. And that could be, health, well-being, fitness, finances. People are looking for benefits for mind, body, and their bank balance. And that was what our messaging was all about. It's not what you're giving up, it's what you are getting back when you shift that behavior and explore it with alcohol change. And I think that something that we took from last year that we also really led with this year is in the post-polling that people may have come in with the intention to boost their health, their well-being, their wallets, but they walked away with learnings that they did not need alcohol to have a good time, that they could stay dry in situations that they didn't think that they could, and they felt healthier, happier, and more energized. So that was what this year was all about, really celebrating the benefits that people can experience and how they can do that successfully with Alcohol Change UK.
You touch on a really good point there in terms of being in. I can remember when I was trying and failing to get sober. I used to go to Alcoholics Anonymous. It didn't work for me, but there was a chap in there that used to talk about wet places. I don't go to wet places. And that to me sounded like hell, because I want to be around the pub. I want to be around hospitality venues. The fact that people are kind of realizing that they can do that now. I mean, we're sat here with various beverages in front of us. We've got cider, we've got a lemon beer, we've got a wheat beer, we've got another cider, we've got kombucha, which is, still a fermented adult drink in a pub alongside full strength options. I think that's really significant when people realize that they can still go to these places and they can still live a normal life. That's fantastic, isn't it? Exactly. And I think with the Lucky Saint, Sarah, I want to get onto the 100,000 pints given away. That's outrageous, right?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of
pints. There's a lot of liquid, that.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, so just kind of talking about that. So the free 100,000 pints we were giving out were part of our Thou Shalt Go to the Pub campaign.
Yep.
So this year was the third year that we were kind of running the campaign. And for us kind of tapping into that, just because you're not drinking doesn't mean you have to miss out on staying social. So we talk a lot about the greatest reward of drinking being the social connection and not the alcohol. And that very much doesn't need to change when it comes to January. I think people, have a negative mentality towards January and, think about staying at home. But our Thou Shalt Go to the Pub campaign is all about, whether you're moderating, whether you're doing dry January, you can still go to the pub, be sociable and be kind of included in all drinking occasions. And a huge part of that, I think, is the fact that we are available on draft and giving out pints. So back in the day, the kind of alcohol-free beers, the alcohol-free options would be kind of hidden away at the back of the fridge.
And terrible. I don't mind saying it. You're not allowed to, probably, but I can. Terrible. And some of them still are terrible. That's just the way of the world, isn't it? But
exactly.
I mean, Lucky Saint is not, quite obviously. I've drank about 5 so far today.
Oh, so great. But yeah, having a pint in your hand means that you can feel a part of the occasion. You can order a round of pints with your friends. And yeah, that's kind of like a huge part of the point of the Thou Shalt Go to the Pub campaign, is to stay social, support your local in what would normally be maybe a month for them. And you can still stick to all of your New Year's resolutions. You can still do dry January. Whatever it is that you want to achieve in January, you can kind of do it all, basically.
I think that's the thing for me. Obviously, people drink alcohol-free beer for different reasons. And I think that the reasons that people are taking a month off alcohol are ever evolving and ever changing. I think moderation isn't a new concept to people anymore. It's something that we're kind of getting used to in society, which is a wonderful thing. But we touch on the need for alcohol-free beer. For me, initially, it was the anonymity that it granted. I could go in a pub, I could hold this, nobody would question anything. If I had an orange juice in my hand, you may as well give me a balloon that says like alcoholic and put me in a pub. And early on, if I'm going to stop doing that now because the balloon doesn't exist. But early on in my sobriety, because I am somebody that was an alcoholic, so I had to get sober. If this wasn't available and it wasn't good, I could be dead now. And I've gone on, I will die on that hill that alcohol-free beer saved my life, because it did. Because without that and without being able to socialize like I used to, what's the point? That was my stance, at least. So I think it's really important, alcohol-free beer. I'm going to move on to other things in a minute, because we do run the risk of me just talking about beer, because that is what I do. But it's really important, and I think that its need in society I really think it's one of the most important things in all of society, alcohol-free beer, because it gives options to like millions of people that need those options. And that is, if you disregard athletes or people who are pregnant or people that are on antibiotics or people that are driving, for the people that really need it when it's there, I think it's magic. So yeah, thanks for that in short. But let's talk about something different. Let's talk about kombucha. Kombucha, because the Dry January Challenge isn't all about beer and cider. We'll get to you. It's also about kombucha, right?
It is now.
It is now. This is your second year, am I correct?
It's our second year as a partner. Yeah, we actually work with our Brie and Alcohol Change throughout the year as well. So, but yeah, second year. We one of the main reasons we got into kombucha was when my now fiance was pregnant in 2020. I sort of decided to cut my drinking back in like solidarity, like, oh, you can't drink, so I won't. And that's what led me to kind of go out and discover all these sort of kombucha brands and thinking, and found the drink to be sort of, who's a kombucha fan in the room? Sort of hands up, yeah, good. So our drinks are sort of like a fruitier, soda-y version, but there are lots of different types. And personally, I find the flavor of it quite satiating because you've been fermented drink. So I found it a nice sort of alcohol replacement, and that's what kind of gave us a core sort of brand value of that. But yeah, it's quite a weird thing to explain to some people, the sort of moldy tea and the SCOBY.
Moldy tea?
Yeah,
moldy tea? Who's called it moldy tea?
Moldy fizzy tea with fruit in. That's kind of the...
Okay.
But yeah, that's not in our marketing.
Each to their own. No, maybe not.
But yeah, so our drink's slightly different to, like you said, chance cider, clear like swaps, as you were just saying about have a beer. That's certainly how I drink Lucky Saint. I've had Lucky Saint in my fridge the whole time. Because personally, I find that sort of 80% of for me, the habitual thing is just having a nice tasting drink. And I almost like don't actually like being tipsy or drunk anymore. But with our drinks, it's coming at it from a slightly different angle because it's sort of, I guess our brand's a bit more, you can do funky stuff. It's a kind of cool soft drink and that sort of side of things. It's maybe one step further away from the direct swap, but hopefully an interesting sort of adult drink.
I think it's important as well because it can be triggering for some people, and it's important to have options. Like I talk about alcohol-free beer all the time, but there are people that are out there, but that's too much for them. People that will try a beer and then want the full fat version. So I think it's about a spectrum, isn't it? Kombucha is a fantastic alternative if you can't drink beer for whatever reason.
From our own polling from last year, we know that over 60% of people said that non-alcoholic replacements really help them get through the Dry January Challenge. So, but I think that can look like all manner of beverages. Like I always come back to, it does not matter what's in your glass. It's maintaining the ritual and then, making that a part of your daily. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we were saying, it's social situations, isn't it? What do you remember from going to the pub? What do you remember from going out? It's that socialization. It's being around friends. It's the intoxication. It's kind of irrelevant, especially when you've gone so long without it. For me, it took maybe 3 months to go, oh, yeah, actually, that was nonsense. I don't miss booze. I just miss actually being out in the world and seeing people. So yeah, I think you're completely right there. Tell me about cider. Was it your first year?
What?
Is it your first year with
yes, I've
Alcohol Change? I thought it was. I should know that, shouldn't I?
Yeah, the new boy.
New boy. How have you found it?
It's been amazing. It's been a real validation, I guess. I have a certain bee in my bonnet that people don't talk about non-alc cider enough. But
Jesus.
I think the kind of span of the offering that they have, like cider's the second biggest category, third by volume in the country, and to all the points there, people want to go out and we want to have occasions and feel like we're at a festival or a gig or a football match and have those moments. And this was me sat in a kitchen on a Tuesday night going, I would probably want a cider, but there isn't one for me. So it came from a journey of me trying to find that solution. But yeah, it feels like people should be able to go into pubs and have the option of which category they want to drink and have it at that level. And it's the amazing work of beer and that's kind of pushed the level up that when we came into cider, we really had to work hard at it.
Yeah. Well, and as somebody that has been to the place that you manufacture your cider and seen the process, It's an intricate process, isn't it, to create a non-alc cider?
Yeah, it's funny when you use natural things, they're a bastard. Yeah,
Yeah, they really are. They really are. Especially when you get fermentation and all that business involved. And
absolutely. And it's it's such a emotive category, I believe, because it's pretty much everyone has a cider at some point through the year, unless apart from my wife, ironically, she doesn't like cider. But everyone kind of has a cider at that moment. So there's this preconception, misconception of the level of it being great. And we were chatting before that I passed it to someone to try and they were the worst thing they'll go, I'm a cider drinker. And they go, oh God, well, we're going to have to be really good now, aren't we? So the level was harder. And also because we were one of the first people to start to make it, there was no kind of roadmap. And we had to kind of batter down this, it's just apple juice kind of thing and all that fun rhetoric, which I don't wake up in hot sweats about anymore, which is good. But it's a really exciting space to be one of the first ciders trying to sort of give people the options that beer, wine, spirits have had for such a long time.
So highlight first 12 months partnership with Alcohol Change UK, if you had to pick one. Putting you on the spot now, I didn't prep you for
apart
that.
from tonight.
Wow.
Look, I'm a massive believer that you just have to really enjoy the moments. And I think the first time you jump on a call with these guys or you see your brand next to brand, like Lucky Saint, Counterculture and Dash and all the other guys who are brilliant partners, to see our little brand next to them at the beginning is a pinch me moment. But we're very resolute that we should be there. And that's been the real thing, to kind of come to the table and hopefully offer something to help this brilliant campaign.
So we're here to reflect, of course, and to celebrate the Dry January Challenge 2026. Have there been? That's a good question. I've just asked you. I'm going to ask everyone else now. You see how we do? That's improv, baby. That's improv. If you had to pick a highlight from this year's campaign, what would it be? Other than giving away 100,000 pints of beer, which I still think is fucking ridiculous. I love it, but wild.
Wild. God, picking a highlight. We have so much going on in January. I think maybe it's just the scale of the campaign for me as a whole. I think we did the most number of events we've ever done this year. So I think in total we did over 120 events. So that covers run clubs, quiz nights, comedy night. We had a comedy night here with Alcohol Change UK, which is amazing. Darts nights, like we were honestly everywhere doing everything, which is kudos to the incredible Lucky Saint team. They were out every night at all of these events. And I think it's the kind of live feedback that you get from people at those events, which is the most rewarding part of January for me. So, people love seeing like really great quality options out there. They love seeing Lucky Saint doing events. They love kind of having options like events to actually attend with their friends throughout January. I think that's the highlight, all of the kind of positive, rewarding conversations that you have out and about at all of these events.
Amazing. What about you, Barry?
I've got one. I'm, of course, very biased, but genuinely, I have been so blown away with all the activity that all of our brands have taken on this year. Sometimes it can feel like we have our campaign going on and then there's brand activations. And this year it felt like this beautiful symphony that I was so excited to see come together. And I'm so impressed with everything that each of the brands have done. Counterculture had a 10,000 can giveaway as well.
Sorry, it's not 100,000. Yeah,
we're getting there. But I mean, it's a huge, there's so many mechanics and logistics to work out with something like that. And I think it's amazing. And they had so much fun and spirit behind it, and even engaging people to ask them where they had struggled along the way during the month. So we're also going to learn from people's experiences and how to support them better going forward. Lucky Saint, the amount of activities that you guys did, I hope that you have some time off coming up, because it's yeah.
I was going to say there's nothing wrong with saying the end of January. It's my highlight
Right
of the Dry January Challenge, because you can just sit back and chill out a little bit.
Chance putting this on, and I love the way that you speak about the challenge as well. There is a lot more consistency in messaging too, and it's so fantastic to see us all working towards a shared goal. And that's what our partnerships are all about at the end of the day. It's working with people who want to see these positive outcomes and want to play their part in that. And this year, I think, nailed it. Like Dash had a fantastic collab that they did with Pirello that really celebrated like the ritual. And again, it's not giving anything up. It's still, you can have this fantastic night in and moment, and Beaver the same, out in the streets with lime bikes, getting people to try lime and yuzu mocktails. Like it was just, everybody had something to contribute in that they were so excited to get out there and share. And, you know, even on my ride here, every stop that I passed by, seeing Lucky Saint adverts and seeing Dash, and like, it's so cool to see it out in the world, and it's actually a part of our environment, because alcohol is very much a part of our environment. So it's nice to see a counter message to that, and that's what January does.
You touch on a really good point within that, and I think it's important to, you know, when we talk about brands getting on board with the messaging from Alcohol Change UK, a lot of people look at like, oh, dry January. And I mean, my favourite thing is, we're talking about the apple juice. My favourite things is, one of your friends is going to tell you to do dry January. It's important for you to tell them to fuck off. And it's, really funny. But you know, people view dry January as a whole country as just this thing that people do. We don't drink booze in January, but actually there's a really important core message behind it, and that is reducing alcohol harm. And that's Alcohol Change's whole modus operandi. You know, it's not anti-alcohol. It's not saying alcohol is evil, you should never touch alcohol. It's challenging people to take a month off so that in that month they can reflect on their habits and then maybe moderate or whatever they want to do going forward. And I think people do miss that message, that it's actually, you know, it's actually an Alcohol Change UK incentive. Like, what was it? I saw there was an interview going around where it's like, oh, well, you realise dry January is from big alcohol companies. It's like, no, it's not. Genuinely, me in my bedroom looking at this video about to fall asleep, being like, it's not, no, I mean. But I think people don't realise that, and I think that's really important to get out to the world.
Yeah, and like you said, we're not anti-alcohol. I have no personal stake in what somebody's relationship with alcohol looks like. I just hope that they feel good about it, and whatever that looks like, and helping people understand that if you do not feel happy with what that relationship looks like, that there are tools and support and resources that are available to you that happen to be free, that you can access anytime, that are independent of the alcohol industry, and evidence-based and research-backed. So, yeah.
I was going to say, we found, obviously, as a partner, you become much more ingrained in it. And it was almost that there was a lack of respect for it, in the way that I kind of said to Jen one day that if you look at Movember, which is obviously a similar kind of campaign to raise awareness for people's health, no one goes, oh, you're doing Movember. But it felt okay sometimes for people to say that about dry January, when this is a moment in the year where people can change a habit that could save their life, or they could notice something that they want to moderate and change. And that's been a real kind of not an oh shit moment, but a really fortunate moment to kind of understand a bit more, being closer to it.
I think it's one of the bad things about being in this world and being really, really involved in this world, is that if anyone has anything to say that's kind of a little bit backwards, you're the first person that's going to see it, and then you get like very, very defensive over it. But then you think for every one person that's being like, you look at some of the comment sections, and actually that is shifting. It used to be when I first got sober in 2022, I couldn't read comment sections on certain posts because I knew it would just be like, oh, I'm going to talk about just alcohol-free beer now. It was like, oh, what's the point? Oh, it's rubbish. Oh, it's all shite, or just drink apple juice. I think that is shifting. I've noticed it's a little bit less, but just, I mean, slightly. I'm seeing fewer what's the point in it now, or more people willing to have a conversation about it at least now, not just be disgusted by it.
I agree. I think, so from my personal experience, I've been at Lucky Saint for 5.5 years now. So the first dry January that we did, the second, the third, you did have a lot of challenging conversations. You know, when you're out, we did quite a lot of kind of pop-up sampling outside Sainsbury's. And it was a hard sell. But, nowadays, I think, as you said, there's been a huge shift. I think for me personally, kind of going out to events and talking to people, you do get a lot more of a positive response. There's kind of people, I think it kind of, it's reflective of the category, the alcohol-free category, everything that Alcohol Change UK is doing, and kind of the awareness of the really great alcohol-free options out there. People are responding more positively and they're kind of really happy to see you. And for me personally, definitely more of my friends and more of people I talk to are doing dry January. They kind of have a positive mentality towards that. So I think the shift is definitely happening, which is like really great to see.
There's another level to that as well, because any category that grows, it has to have people that adopt it, has to have a really good product, but it has to have awareness and visibility and availability. And I think, to your point, it's that pubs and venues and shops are getting behind it in awareness. And I was saying the other day that if you went to a pub and said, look, January's rubbish, what about if I could get you 50% of your sales back, and then I could probably grow your rest of the 11 months by sort of 10, 20%? Would you be interested? And they go, oh, well, is this like a government grant? Is this like a tax rebate? And you go, no, just put some fucking good beer and cider on. And it's such a simple solution, because then people come with the intent and they go to the pub and they have a great experience and a great drink. And then when that starts to happen, and I think that's what I felt in the trade, like, you go to trade shows and you used to work in non-alc and they go, oh, no thanks. And then they're coming over and go, oh, actually, I should probably think about that. And then now you've got people having, not just like he's saying, they've got an IPA and they'll have a stout. And like, obviously our big brother Guinness has done quite well to this. And then cider, it feels like the big cultural shift is being fanned by people being able to find it. And that's part of the giveaways. And I'm sure your distribution and the partners you get, they're much more responsive to what you're doing than they probably were 5 years ago.
Well, yeah, 100%.
This year, for context, and this isn't a self-plug, but we hosted in January the largest ever amount of alcohol-free beers pouring on tap to have ever been seen. There were over 10 taps pouring at any given time. There was about 20 other beers in bottles. And that was just normal. It was like, yeah, why wouldn't we do that? Yeah. So I think culture is changing, mentalities are changing, and demand is changing, and awareness is changing. But again, we need to stop talking about bloody beer now, because I want to know about your 10,000 cans. Tell me all.
Slightly copying.
I'm guessing this would be your highlight, by the way, of campaign. I mean, you don't give away 10,000 cans.
The highlight, I don't know if everyone knows, each year, so second year, Alcohol Change hosts an event in the Houses of Parliament. Yes. So it's some of us were at. And that's always a highlight, because, you genuinely are at the centre of like the machine. Not to make this political. I don't say anything political, but you're kind of if you want in Westminster. So that's always great. And fascinating thing, Luke from Lucky Saints spoke at that. And sorry to bring it back to beer, but
no, that's fine.
One stat that he said was something like the percentage of alcohol free beer in this country is like 1 or 2% of total beer sales, but in Germany it was like 12% or something, and that like blew my mind. I was kind of like, and so not to like downplay all the amazing progress, but it's like fascinating to.
But there's 900
like that upside.
900 breweries in Germany, more than 900 breweries in Germany with at least one alcohol-free beer to their range.
Yeah,
but they've been doing it for fucking ages. We're catching up. We're catching up in German beer culture and Japanese beer culture, actually. Well, I'll stop talking about this in a second and go back to you. But they've been doing it for so long that it's just normal. I think that's the future that we're going to see. You go to a German beer hall and it is completely normal to have alcohol without alcohol, alcohol without alcohol, alcohol without. That's just normal. Yeah. We'll get there here, I think.
On our drinks, so I think the cans last year to sort of announce ourselves on the scene, I guess. We made a new drink, it's called Try Dries, and it kind of borrowed a lot of the Dry January themes. And in the labels, we've got like the Dry Jan teacup and that's the one, the sort of Try Dry yellow and that kind of thing. So this year we kind of thought, let's, there's one on the table actually. So it's sort of like citrus yuzu, kind of like a sort of funky lemonade. We would try to kind of think of lime and soda as a bit kind of, boring. Sorry to not offend anyone that likes lime and soda, but it's kind of more interesting version of that. So this year we sort of just tried to get as much out there as possible. We were giving cases away on a website, and like Bree said, we actually invite, as people requested their case, we sort of decided to put in a question like, what are you struggling, or what's the most challenging part of dry January for you? And it's fun. It was interesting, sort of scanning the responses and seeing people talk about the weather and like the darkness and stuff. And it's kind of like, oh, I never expect people to say that. But yeah, just the whole thing. I'm just genuinely kind of fulfilled more by working with Alcohol Change. It's like reason to get up in the morning rather than just sort of crank out and sell some more cans. It's actually like
Mutual.
Crank out. Yeah, that's really sweet. A nice little sentimental moment there. That's why we come here, isn't it? That's why we do what we do. But no, that's banging, by the way. That's really good. I poured it up for people, but didn't hand it out. So if you'd like some, we can pass it down. It's really good.
Do you want some?
it'd be funny if I turned it down.
Didn't send me any, did you? No. I'm joking, for the record.
This is one of my go-tos.
Yeah, no, I think because, again, the world of alcohol-free wine is a little bit behind. It's getting there, and it will get there. But I think things like this feel really nice, interesting, like, here's something a little bit different, but kind of fulfills that. You know, if you put this in a wine glass and drank it as you would drink a wine, kind of fills that void. And I really like that about it. So thank you. So yeah, 10,000 giveaway, 100,000 giveaway.
Oh, yeah.
Podcast giveaway.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I'm joking. I'm joking. I mean, no, you're new to the scene, man. And what you're doing is incredible. What all of the brands here are doing is incredible. Obviously, what Alcohol Change UK is doing is incredible. But it's this whole, I don't want to say machine because it makes it sound all corporate. We were saying we don't want to get political. But the whole machine working together with one aim. And that is just to highlight the dangers that alcohol can cause, but also celebrate the wonderful options out there that exist, I think.
Yeah, we want to provide people with information, right? So once you have all of the information and knowledge of self, you can determine what you want to do with that. We do not have a predetermined route for that. And I think that we'll probably talk about this more in the second part of the chat, but something that I'm really excited about too is that we now have a variety of behavior change journeys that people can take at different times of the year that aren't all focused on abstaining. It's about making healthier choices and taking those first steps, whatever that looks like to you.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what? This is going back a little bit, but I was just thinking about highlights of the Dry January Challenge. For me, as a beer consumer, it's kind of all that I do with my life nowadays, which is strange, isn't it, for an alcoholic to say? What do you do? Drink beer. You can trust me. For me, it was how serious breweries are taking the month now. And not only breweries that are directly doing the Dry January Challenge, but obviously breweries will put an alcohol-free beer out in January because, of course, they will. But actually, these breweries are releasing these beers into December, into kind of February and more throughout the year, because it's saying, actually, no, we need a really solid option available all year round, rather than your token, oh, here's a alcohol-free beer for January. It's not been pasteurized. It's going to explode in 2 months. And he's like, all right, thank you for that sweet token of nothing. I appreciate it. That was actually the name of the beer. I shouldn't say that. I didn't mean you, Pomona Island. It was a good beer. But, you know, it's kind of that. It felt like a token thing, a gesture. Whereas now, it goes back to the culture, doesn't it? I think it's more ingrained in society. But it's normal not to drink booze all the time, isn't it? So.
Yeah, and I think that more and more people are realizing that they need to cater to a range of needs and inclusive options, and that is not limited to the first 31 days of the year, that is something that more and more people are looking for all year round. Like I keep coming back to the 17.5 million number.
It's huge, isn't it? When you actually think about how many that is.
Nearly a third of UK adults that want to make some sort of change to their drinking. And last year we also saw that, oh man, what was it? How many? Crap, I can't remember. But last year, I think it was right around a third as well of people who wanted to drink less in 2025 versus 2024. So again, it's not just within the month of January, it's carrying that forward. And if producers and venues are not catering to those needs, then that is lost revenue when we all need it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've called out many a venue. Don't you worry about that.
I've always been interested as well of, and I'm generalising the room here, but people of our era who are... Era. I hate all that, whatever, CD, Gen, whatever you are, all that shit. But specifically, you've got people that have a culture that they've grown up in alcohol, and we're trying to give them options. But then you've got this incumbent group of younger people who still want to go to pubs and still want to go on dates and still want to go and watch music, but don't actually have a predisposition of being a Guinness drinker or a wine drinker. So having that kind of option for them is so important. Otherwise, they're going to be turning up to, you know, our age and missing out on this wonderful kind of period, as you said, of being together. And I think there's this kind of looking at what we can do to help people that are trying to switch in or find premium moments for their drinking, but also this kind of younger generation that's coming in that might be left drinking, what is it, 800 million pounds worth of water in the pubs. Like it's, you know, it's our duty to give them a reason to come to these brilliant spaces.
Yeah, they are the bedrock of society, pubs. And they need to be protected. Yeah.
I meant the people, the young ones. But
yeah. Oh, that was good. Yeah. I missed that. That was so good it went over my head. Okay, at this point, we're going to end section 1 of this podcast, and well, we're not actually going to end it yet because we're going to throw something else on all of you. Not 100,000 pints or 10,000 cans. 10,000 cans would hurt more than 100,000 pints, wouldn't it?
Well, I don't know.
Although no, because you'd be very wet, wouldn't you, after 100,000? This is irrelevant. This is irrelevant. We're going to get the audience to ask some questions. If you have any questions. Yes, we got a few hands.
Hello. Hi. Okay. I just wanted to ask from a sort of sales or innovation perspective. I run a venue in South London, and telling people, my bosses and people who run our bars, that I would like to introduce more non-alcoholic options is a tough sell, because they just don't see why that one beer is not enough, why that one non-alcoholic spirit is not enough. And it's not about just like making the experience more profitable for us as a venue, but also for people just to have a better experience in general. And I just don't want to sound like a preacher when I go into the board or to the owners and tell them about it. It's more about how to make them see that it's an exciting new avenue to explore.
Go on.
It's that simple, right? So 1 in 4 consumers now aren't drinking, 1 in 3 occasions are sober in pubs. So you've got this consumer who comes in, who will stay longer, probably spend more, all of those good things. But if you think back to your vegan friend or your vegetarian friend, they're the ones who choose which restaurant you go to, right? So you're not just losing one person, you're losing a group of people if you're not catering for them. So it's up to your boss, as it were, to ask him, does he want to lose 4 people or cater for 1?
I mean, I've often said that Heineken 0% is the most dangerous drink in the world. And I really believe that it is. It's a slogan, because you give somebody, I mean, I don't know what option you have, but let's assume it's something along the lines of a Heineken. You give somebody that, and you give them a really good excuse to never drink a non-alcoholic beer ever again, because it's fucking terrible. So I think it's as you say, you're turning people away immediately, and if you want to future-proof a venue, that's a really good way to not future-proof it, is by only offering one thing. But I think it's just about getting people to try things. In terms of even venue owners, it's like, try this. Tell me honestly that is not better than that. And if they've got a tongue, then they're going to see it, hopefully, you know, and an eye for business. But does anybody have anything to add?
I think the margin's probably better, is it, on the non-alcoholic stuff? So there might be more money to be made as well per drink sold if you don't have to pay duty, or is that not really the case?
It's more like
it costs a lot to make, don't they, as well, especially in the beer world.
It's more about the amount that they have. There's definitely an upside in margin from soft drinks, and there's an infinite upside from not spending any money because someone came to your pub. You've put the lights on, you've paid the rent, you've got the staff, and then someone gets some council pop out the tap. So there's definite spaces where it works, but people will normally stay longer.
I think at that number, the fact that 1 in 3 pub, bar, restaurant visits now are alcohol-free, I think just being able to offer a really great quality alcohol-free option is just inclusivity now. As soon as you don't kind of offer that, you're now not catering for 1 in 3 people, which I think is quite a big number. And yeah, we've experienced more and more pubs now. It's, they're looking to always have at least 1 alcohol-free beer on tap, which is amazing to see, but that's just to provide that inclusivity for everybody that's coming in. And to that point, the people that aren't drinking, or the vegetarians of the group, they are the people recommending those venues, which is exactly why we have our tap map. And we get so many messages, and we do consumer calls, and they absolutely love the fact that they can just land on this one page, and there's a map that they can find exactly where they can get a good alcohol-free beer.
Literally saved my first 12 months of sobriety, that on-tap map. It was so important. I can't even begin to tell you.
Oh, that's really awesome to hear. But yeah, so they're the people going on the map, they're picking the venues, and they're bringing their groups to those locations. So it really is kind of a footfall driver as well.
Probably got time for one more question this round. We will have more later on, but, well, shit, what do we do now?
Should we do that song?
Join us for part 2, straight after this little information break, I assume. Welcome back to part 2. What we have called Here's to Bossing It, because of course, Boss It, the official slogan of the Dry January Challenge 2026. We're joined by a new face. Who on earth are you? This is an intro for you. Tell the people.
I am, sorry, suspense. I'm Hattie. I run Sober Happy Free, which is an online sobriety community, and I also do sobriety coaching.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
We really wanted to have someone from the sober community as part of this panel, because of course it's kind of what we feel like we have a little bit of ownership over Dry January Challenge, don't we? As people that are in the sober community, it's kind of like, we have to do this all the time. This is just everyday life for us. So it's really nice to have you here.
Thank you.
I was reminded during a little break where I ate loads of cheese, and I'm really aware that I probably stink of cheese now. But I didn't actually intro myself, so I'm just going to do that, if that's okay with you, very quickly, and just break down my alcoholism, if that's okay with everyone, and then we'll throw into everyone else's alcoholism. I'm joking. Everyone else's alcoholism. So I'm Ben, and I am an alcoholic who got sober in January 2022. I was only really in full-blown addiction for about 6 months, so it was very hot and fast. But whilst under that kind of plague of addiction, if you like, I also got quite into other things like cocaine, which was lovely until it wasn't. Had to get sober because realised that my life was just going to end if I didn't, and managed to upset a load of people, which I'd never really done in my life as a drinker historically. But once I started being nasty to people, it was like, oh, that's happened once, so now that's going to happen every single time that I drink. And it wasn't that I had to drink every day. I'd have one drink and then I'd have to have 30 drinks, because what's the point? What's the point in that? I still don't understand what the point in having one beer is, and I never will. There's no point in that. It's a stupid idea. If you're drinking alcohol, you want to get rat-arsed. Anyway, since then, I've thrown myself into the world of alcohol-free beer, as you may have noticed in part 1, because I didn't shut the fuck up about alcohol-free beer. I've tried over 1,000 alcohol-free beers, set up the Sober Boozers Club community, and that brings us here. So enough about me. Let's talk about, I thought it would be fun to do the 2016 challenge, because that's been a thing going on at the moment. Hattie, what did 2016 look like for you?
Well, I have to be honest, I was definitely not across the no and low drinks market at that time. So I got sober in April 2021. And so back in 2016, I was very much in my active addiction. Sort of like you, it was alcohol, but for me, I'd never sort of had a normal normal, in inverted commas, relationship with alcohol, and it sort of really escalated when I then found cocaine. And so the sort of last 3 years of my drinking, you know, I was going to say everything really sped up, quite literally and figuratively, which I now actually feel very grateful for, because it got me to sobriety quicker. But I think in terms of, you know, with Dry January in 2016, it wouldn't have even been something that I would have attempted, because I think I would have just been too scared to. So yeah, life looked very different back in 2016. I
think when you look at things like the Dry January Challenge, for me, that was my first kind of, be quiet out there, you. For me, I'm joking. For me, that was the first time that I kind of thought about, oh, a whole month away from booze. I could do a month. Yeah. And that's one of the things I said I didn't get on with AA, and that just didn't speak to me. But one of the most important things from AA is it's just for today. You're doing it for today. You're doing it for today. For me, it was doing it for January, which is the shittest month in the world. Let's be honest. I can do that because then I'm not thinking of Christmas. I'm not thinking of New Year, maybe New Year's Day, but that's fine. I don't want to drink on New Year's Day anyway. But you're not thinking of those big occasions. You're just thinking of that 1 month. Something about it being that kind of 31, or in January terms, 761-day challenge, I think is really special. It makes it feel achievable, doesn't it?
Definitely. And actually for me, so my sort of sobriety date is 26th of April 2021, but it starts, thank you. It's
huge. That is huge.
But it very much started with January. So I think it makes it much less overwhelming knowing that it's for a month. And at the beginning of that month, it was very much using the Try Dry app and ticking those days off and sort of building that confidence. And it was within that time that I then sort of towards the end of January committed to doing 100 days. And I remember when someone suggested it, and I just thought, I mean, it just seemed like madness. I could never go more than a few days. So the idea that I was coming to the end of January and I was going to suddenly take on this 100 days felt really scary. But actually doing that I learned so much in that time, and actually it was impossible to ignore how much better I felt. But the key difference for me was in that 100 days, I had never said to myself or committed that I was, you know, that I was going to be sober or go sober. And so I did then pick up a drink and had one day of drinking. And it was at the end of that day that I just knew it didn't matter how much time had passed, my relationship with alcohol was always going to be the same. And so that then led to my sobriety today. And I think it's a really important, whilst there's so many opportunities within the year, I think it breaks it down, and it was by, I think, design that all of my friends in my circle were big drinkers. And so the idea that Dry January was sort of known and maybe other people were engaging in it made it feel
you can
sort
explain
of more
it away.
plausible. Exactly, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting point, isn't it? That kind of line, nobody knows what drink takes them over from being a fun, jolly, happy drinker to a kind of wretched, hungover drinker that is, you know, it's always November. You know, when you're in that period, when you're really under it, every day is November. And it's just wretched. And it's kind of how I know that I'm still an addict now. I am sure that I could go and have that alcoholic drink that's perched there, because the Lucky Saint serves alcohol drinks as well, which I think is the future of hospitality, a nice blend. But I think I could drink that and be fine. And I really believe that I could. But that's how I know I'm an addict. Yeah. Because in my heart of hearts, I'm like, yeah, I'd be fine. And it's like, yeah, of course you do, you sneaky little bastard. Like, you know, but I think with Dry January, it's interesting that you started in January as the dry. I mean, I only started in January, and I'm just being completely transparent. I only got sober in January. It was January the 8th, because I played a David Bowie tribute night the night before and got absolutely wrecked and really upset a lot of people, so I was forced to. But I know people, one of my closest friends in the world, a chap called Martin Dixon, Alcohol Free World, he did Dry January, didn't have a problem with alcohol at all, but did Dry January every year, and then just carried on. Hasn't drank since, and is now one of the most fantastic alcohol-free, award-winning beer commentators in the country. it's the thing that Dry January can do. You touched on the Try Dry app. I believe we've got more info on that, have we not? The Try Dry app, tell all.
Yeah, so not 2016, because it was not around just yet, but we do have numbers from 2018. And from 2018 to present, kind of what people have logged in the Try Dry app, which I think is really incredible. And the fact that people have saved 1.55 billion pounds on teacups that they have banked in that period. And that's also 258 million units that people have foregone, and 16.2 billion empty calories in that. So kind of incredible to look at it like on a cumulative. And I love seeing that at the end of every January, kind of what did everybody bank within that. Because seeing how many people are taking something away from that and making real tangible changes in their life is incredible. And I do think that it's an invitation and a starting point for people to explore that and see what they learn and then what they want to do with that information.
I think Hattie touched on a really important point, is that it's kind of that acceptance from somebody, from a drinking buddy, because I mean, I don't know about you, but I've got friends that were in my life before that now aren't, because they were just drinking buddies. And that's really sad, but also that's just the reality of life. But there's other friends that would have been in that bracket of being drinking buddies, but if you do it during Dry January, it's like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you're doing Dry January, it's fine. We'll get on it afterwards. But once you've made that change for a month, that seed's been planted. And I think that's the really important part, isn't it? Once that seed's been planted, and of course it doesn't just have to be for January. I believe that you're launching a Try Dry Anytime.
Yeah, so we've already launched a Try Dry Anytime, so a 31-day journey that people can do any time of year. Nice. So that you're basically getting the Dry January Challenge behavior change journey with the daily check-ins and app support, but on your own time. And another program that we are rolling out that launched last year, and I think this year there will be a lot more noise about, and I'm really excited about it, is the Cutback Challenge. And that is for people who don't necessarily want to abstain, but they recognize that there's something that they want to do differently in their drinking habits. So you can determine, what are your goals around drinking? Is that to take a certain amount of time off? Is that to reduce your number of weekly units? And whatever you're choosing, we have a supporter journey that can get you there.
I love that, because it's kind of, I think when people are doing the Dry January Challenge, you get to the end of the month and you think, oh shit, what now? And like that community feels, if you've just been doing it through the app or etc., it's like, oh, where's all this support gone? Where are all my people at? All of a sudden, everyone's disappearing out into the real world. So I think that's a really cool incentive.
Something that I was actually reflecting on and thinking about this too, and it's amazing that the Dry January Challenge has grown into the moment that it is, and the fact that there is so much brand activity, and also, there are more activities out in the world that people are tailoring for alcohol-free experiences. So like we also worked with Class Bento this month, which I thought was amazing. So they're an online, like they do workshops and things. So you can pick up a hobby, you can try something new, and you're probably going to meet other people who are also on that journey and trying something different and fumbling their way through. So you're going to connect with more people who are maybe new to this, and then you can bond together. We also have a Facebook, what do they call? I don't go on Facebook group. Thank you. I'm like, what do people do on Facebook? But there are Facebook groups and WhatsApp channels, and we have quotes from people saying, that they're going to start now these splinter groups that they have connected. They've gotten so much support and want to continue now with people who are in the same boat as them, who have the same sober day as them. Like, we are creating those communities as well, and then people are taking it and flourishing and making it their own as well.
I'm certainly seeing that on social media. I don't know about you, Hattie, but there's loads of little baby sober people that come into the world and start new accounts, and it's like, yes, one of us, welcome. Because when I was I can't remember, 4 years ago. When was that? I'm not even going to attempt to think about that. But when I first came into the world of sober Instagram, it was quite barren. I mean, there was a fair few people going, but it was, you had your big 10. But now there's so many people just talking about sobriety on the internet, and it's I was just having a conversation about how it seems to be a really encouraging place. You'll see people comment and say, I'm 100 days today. And the amount of likes and the amount of love on there, you don't get anyone. I mean, I get a fair few like Harry Potters, and like you've got a shit bowl cut and whatever, which is why I don't have the bowl cut anymore. But as a whole, the community just seems really supportive and growing.
Yeah, so I really wasn't sure what to expect when I sort of went onto social media, and the idea for Sober Happy Free started, I think, 2 or 3 years before I felt like I had the courage to do that first post, because through my addiction, my sort of confidence and self-esteem was so low, and I wasn't sure what the response was going to be. But actually, as you say, it's such a encouraging, supportive community. That's certainly been my experience, and I think there's a place and space for all different types of accounts and angles, because ultimately, for me, before I got sober, I couldn't believe that it would be possible. And so seeing sort of everyday, normal people, not sort of maybe big celebrities, and it kind of feels maybe like unattainable, getting sober and seeing what their life looked like, but also the flip side of what it was like before, I think was really inspiring. And I think for me, I'm always just so in awe of people that post sort of their day one of getting sober, because at that point for me I was really sort of clinging on, and the fact that they can be open, I think that's a really interesting sort of perspective to receive, coupled with people that have sort of years of sobriety behind them as well.
Mm-hmm. We're doing a bit of a 2016 throwback, or we have a 2018 throwback. I was still getting on it all the time throwback, guilty as well throwback. Alcohol-free cider 2016. What the bloody hell did that look like?
I knew you were going to do this because I wasn't supposed to be on this panel.
Yeah, I know, but I've seen you got a microphone on, and I was thinking, I'll get him. It probably was appetizer, right? And I'm not joking there.
I haven't talked about my son Fox and Wilbur for a while because I'm a cool dad. But like, I just become a father 10 years ago, and it was quite interesting.
At 14?
No, 2016.
Yeah, at 14. I was complimenting you.
Yeah, I'm a bit tired. That's a good joke though.
Thank you.
Over my head. So I guess I'm reflecting quite in the moment about this, and it suddenly was like having the perspective of what my influence and I'm not sober, but I have definitely been on this moderation journey of then going, right, well, I've got to get my shit together because there's someone else that I've got to look after.
Keep them alive.
Yeah, but also like, those kind of moments of this terminology of, how much do you want to steal from tomorrow and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you do kind of get to that point where you go, okay, well, I guess I would call myself like a binge drinker in the new format of going, well, that used to be kind of the cool thing to say when people were binge drinking, but I actually think nowadays people go, well, I can drink through the week in these moderate spaces, but maybe I'm going to have these moments where it's stag do's or festivals, whatever I want to do. When you have a kid, you suddenly go, well, I want to make sure that I'm present in those moments and have those good moments. So 2016 was when I started to think it wasn't just about my long-suffering partner who had to look after me sometimes, but what was that influence? And that's definitely seeded my thinking, probably, that wasn't about creating this then, but must have been cognitively in the background going, okay, well, what can be a tool that can give you it? And we had beer, and we've got lovely Guinness that's doing wonderful things, and we're getting better with spirits and wines. But for a cider, for me, it was going, when I did get to this point of going, I need to have this moderate option, I looked at cider and there wasn't one, and I thought, well, I've got to do it then, haven't I?
Yeah, if you want something to exist that doesn't, you've got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, okay, I say we were joking, or I was joking, or prodding fun, but it probably would have been appetizer or Schlur if you wanted a non-alc cider in 2016. I might be wrong. Someone might come at me now and be like, "We were doing it."
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
And sorry if you were.
I didn't know.
But no, totally. It's an interesting. It's an interesting category because I always say that if you want to make a gin or you want to make a beer, you can pretty much go and buy the stuff off the internet and get someone to make it. But if you want to make a cider, like a proper cider,
Oh yeah, you need a big factory.
you need a fucking load of apples.
Loads
right?
of apples, yeah.
So there isn't a lot of people that are in the space of doing what we're doing. And when I went to the cider community to kind of look at it, they just didn't have the infrastructure or the inclination. They were this is 4 years ago. So think of where you were talking about how Lucky Saints accelerated in 5 years. Cider just wasn't interested. And I was very lucky that we found a partner who was already doing it in a different space in kind of grocery. But yeah, it was really difficult to find somebody who wanted to kind of do it. And I was kind of sat there going, cider's a massive thing, right? Like surely someone else is doing this.
We mentioned beer, you mentioned beer. Lucky Saint, this is top of my head. So founded 2019, launched on tap in 2021, I think. So we had COVID going. I've probably got that wrong. You can fact check and you can tell me afterwards. But we had a big old pile of COVID going on through there, didn't we? Which was a little bit problematic.
So we launched on draft just as COVID hit.
So
pretty
2019.
Much. Yeah.
So was it founded in 2016?
It was founded in 2018.
Shit. Okay.
Very close.
Yep.
But yeah, we launched, I joined kind of mid-COVID, so this was kind of before my time. But we launched on draft, just before we went into lockdown.
Oh, that's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, and obviously the whole business had to adapt and change, and all of our focus turned to online, D2C.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely challenging, but I'm trying to think 2016, so we didn't exist. And I think there was obviously a huge gap in the market. It was probably about the time Luke was figuring out what he wanted to do and how he was going to create a really great alcohol-free beer. He always talks about how kind of in those years before he started Lucky Saint that he just wanted to create a product that people obviously really enjoyed drinking, so a great tasting alcohol-free beer, but also a brand that people were proud to order over the bar. I think probably back in 2016 you were still in that phase of when you were ordering something over the bar, you'd kind of be a bit embarrassed and like hush it behind your mouth. But yeah, hopefully the change has been big and people are kind of proud to be drinking alcohol-free now.
Yeah. Well, there's two breweries that I won't name, but I can think of that were 2016, but that's really niche. Obviously, you go into Germany, you've got Klaus Thaler in the 70s inventing controlled fermentation, which is why we say Germany. UK, we were a little bit behind, but you read a lot of these founder stories, a lot of these origin stories of it. It's usually person wants to drink a beer without alcohol. Beer without alcohol doesn't exist. Person thinks, fuck's sake, I'll have to make one then. And that was pretty much the way that people had to do this. The community has flourished from that point. I mean, I can remember ordering my first Lucky Saint on tap. And for that 12 months, every time I'd order one, the person at the bar would be like, it's alcohol-free. That doesn't happen anymore. I don't know if anyone's noticed this, but when you order a non-alc drink now, people don't do that little clarity check and being like, it's alcohol-free. That's a really subtle sign to me that things have moved somewhere, is that it can't be an accident. Whereas beforehand it was like, I better just warn you, there's no booze in this. Whereas now it's, no, if you're ordering that, then you're fully aware of what you're drinking. But you look at the Lucky Saint community, you have run clubs, you have quiz nights, you have, so many fingers in so many pies. It's not just for sober people, which is probably what people would assume it was about when you launch, alcohol-free beer must be for someone sober, but it's not, is it? It's about so much more.
Yeah, there's lots of sober people that obviously do drink Lucky Saint, but I think the majority of people that do drink us are moderators for various reasons. And we've kind of done a lot of work to find those communities and become a part of those communities. In lockdown, it very much started with the online community. So we were kind of doing a lot of outreach, messaging people. One of our mantras is kind of be generous. So we were going above and beyond, like sending people alcohol-free beer to kind of get them through lockdown. And then obviously when we came out of lockdown, we just showed up. So we were going out and about to events, kind of working with partners. So definitely leaning into that active lifestyle space. So we did a lot with run clubs, brands, cyclists, kind of all that crowd. And then I think the big change for us when it came to community was actually opening the pub, because it meant that we had a brand home and a space for us to actually be able to host our own events and host our community. So we launched our run club in 2023, and it's just massively blown up, which has been incredible to see. We have so we had one in January on like the 10th of January, so the first or the second Saturday, and we were kind of a bit nervous as to like what the uptake was going to be. But we had like over 300 people sign up in like an hour.
In an hour?
So many people signed up, and then we could obviously only host like 80 people, so we had a couple hundred people on the wait list, people messaging us being like, when are you going to do your next one? So yeah, it's really, really cool to see, and it's great kind of bringing the community to life, both online and in person.
Well, it's a household name now, I would say. For me, I would certainly say if it's not a household name yet, it's certainly very close to becoming one. You think alcohol-free beer on tap, you think Lucky Saint, you just do, and you know you're going to get a good pint.
That was definitely our mission. We kind of always refer back to Guinness and how, you know, when you want a stout, you just order Guinness over the bar. We kind of wanted to do that when it came to alcohol-free beer. So if you want an alcohol-free beer, you just kind of order a Lucky Saint. So yeah, it's been a good
I think
journey.
you've nailed it. You've nailed it in a way that Carling, let's not talk about Carling, but I know what you mean. For a lot of people, Carling is lager, Guinness is stout, alcohol-free draft beer, pint of Lucky Saint, please. Easy. And I think you've absolutely nailed that. And it's and with the whole range that you have now, I mean, you were on the lemon lager earlier, I'm on the bloody delicious wheat beer. This glass, by the way, is awesome.
It's cool, isn't it?
It's really good. I really like this. If I was still drunk, I'd probably steal it, but I'm not going to. But you've got the wheat beer, you've got the lager, you've got the IPA. You've really got a really solid core range of drinks that you didn't just throw out all at the same time. You crafted them, you made them right. I mean, this wheat beer, honestly, this wheat beer. Yeah,
we just had the lager for, I don't know, it was 3 years. Yeah. We were kind of all in just on the lager. And then obviously we saw the change in the category as more and more people were entering the category. They obviously have different tastes, or they kind of enjoy different styles of beer. So then the next one we launched was the hazy IPA, which again, we were quite nervous to launch, weren't really sure like how it was going to go, and it just went incredibly well. And then we launched the lemon lager last summer, which is my personal favourite. And then the German Weiss beer, which is the one that you are enjoying. We launched that in October. But I think it just caters, you know, for everybody, for different people's tastes. Like, for example, you might want to enjoy lager throughout Christmas, but then when it comes to summer, you might want to enjoy a lemon lager instead. So it just kind of reflects seasonality in different people's beer tastes.
I think, you know, we're seeing from just one company that growth, that amount of beers being released. And I mean, owning a pub in central London, for a non-alc brand to do that, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. And I think it speaks volumes, doesn't it, for how people are willing to get on board and get behind a brand like this, which, as you say, there would be a nervousness that people might not want to support it because it kind of challenges their values of being like, oh no, it's anti-drink, which goes back to the alcohol change message of not being anti-drink, doesn't it? Which I think is...
Yeah, I mean, I think that the only reason that we're able to add so much variety to the market is because the market wants it now. Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic that there's actually enough support in the wider community that it is a sensible decision for brands to invest in catering to people who are choosing different lifestyles.
And Hattie, we touched on earlier how some drinks for people that are in recovery can be triggering. How have you found the no and low scene? Do you find that you get on with them, or do you kind of stay away and stick to the more left of field drinks?
Yeah, so I think in my sort of very early sobriety, I was definitely sort of more cautious. And so I just sort of stuck to, you know, lemonade and things like that. But actually, as the time has gone on, I really love trying out different non-alcoholic drinks. I personally don't find it triggering, but I don't think there's a sort of right or wrong way to be sober. And so if it is a trigger, then it's, you know, it's obviously best to stay away. But I think I sort of also just threw the rule book out of what I thought I liked around alcohol. So, I used to be a big sort of vodka and gin drinker, but they're actually probably the non-alcoholic versions that I don't drink. And I was never a beer drinker, but I actually really love a non-alcoholic beer. Cider. This is also delicious, by the way. I've nearly drunk the whole, Counterculture is brilliant. So, I think for me, it makes such a meaningful difference. If I'm at home, it's that ritual of pouring a lovely drink and taking the time to make it and enjoy it. And if I'm out, I went to Madrid a couple of months ago, and because I got sober in London and, the UK, we have so many fantastic options here. And then I would find myself out for dinner in Madrid, and I just, there was one non-alcoholic beer on the menu or tonic water. And it really actually, it surprised me by how much it changed the experience for me. And it's, it didn't feel kind of as inclusive. And actually, when I am out, I'm very happy to sort of spend whatever I would have done on alcohol. Well, I wouldn't spend that much because, all the kind of knock-on effect of that. But
the added extras, shall we say.
I don't sort of see, I see so much value in paying for a non-alcoholic drink that is delicious, that feels sort of inclusive of whoever I'm kind of socialising with, and it really makes a difference to the experience.
It makes it feel like you're not somebody that's trying not to drink. You're just somebody that doesn't drink alcohol.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're all, there's a table full of drinks.
You would almost say that we're still drinking.
Yeah.
Just differently.
And with that, I'm going to open up to any questions. Yes, sir.
I think it's quite clear that culture's changing and people want to have alcohol-free options on the menu, whether you're completely abstaining or just moderating everywhere else. And it's so important to have good quality products on the menu to make that work and land properly. So what's your one key message to venues that may be thinking about expanding their alcohol-free menu or their moderation menu, and those that aren't really looking at it? So what's your one key message that you want for them to take away, John?
Thanks, Ross. I've got a slightly different spin in terms of in production. We've talked about consumers and venues and such. I think there's a really interesting space where the people that are making non-alc drinks see it as a whole new space for them to have a new toolkit, challenge themselves, like brewers and cider producers and spirit drinkers and wine producers. Like, this is a new way of them looking how to develop it. And I think if you look at the real tastemakers of cocktail makers and mixologists, like, they're really interested because they're building blocks. So I think anyone who's looking to expand the portfolio if they've got, we know is a commercial opportunity. We know that consumers want to do it, but actually, like, have the fun of going to explore it. Go and see these great small brewers and go and see these great spirit producers and just explore it. Because the knee-jerk reaction is to go, we'll put in Heineken 00, Peroni Blue, whatever that is. But that's, thanks for the sponsor, Heineken 00. But the whole simplicity of that is going to kind of breathe the boredom. Like, if you really want to do something cool, go and find the special thing. Don't go to the knee jerk, because there's no joy there. And actually going and finding these amazing brewers like We Can Be Friends or the Mash Gang guys or all that kind of stuff, they're doing such fucking amazingly cool stuff. Don't just look on it as like a category opportunity. Look at it as a new space to find something exciting for your menu.
Great answer. Can I expand that to the rest of the panel as well?
Mine would be a bit less eloquent, and it would be that obviously the hospitality industry is fucked enough without it fucking itself more.
That was what I was going to say.
I can go next. Oh my goodness. I think what I'd say to venues is, like, if they're thinking about it, we do a lot, or everything that we can do to support hospitality. So whether that's kind of working with them to like drive footfall or, whatever their goals might be, or if they're trying to figure out where to put alcohol free on a menu, like kind of turning to people that are in that space, the brands that are in that space, and kind of asking for, if they have any questions, like we can definitely like support them in whatever way that they might need it.
Yeah, I don't know that I have much to add to the trade perspective that hasn't been said. Like, I really love, John, your vegan analogy, because if somebody does have some sort of dietary need or requirement, then they're probably going to influence the selection, and so you want to make sure that you're catering to everybody. And we know that it's not just people who are abstaining, people that are moderating, and it also makes, I think, probably a better service experience for a lot of people if you have people that are less intoxicated in your establishment, from your workplace well-being perspective as well to consider.
I think to Sarah's point as well, you speak to a non-alc brand and say, can you help me?
Yeah.
They will do everything they can. Oh, yeah. They'll be so hungry to try and push the category and give you visibility and give you support and rate a sale and bring their community in, far more than these slightly more weathered alcohol brands which have just had it so simple.
It's what the coffee industry does to cafes. They support cafes. If you want to get started as a cafe, the coffee industry will support you through getting out there and giving your brain, and it's a great thing to do.
We even go as far as we've got an in-house beer technician team, always on hand. Like if there's any problems, like if the beer's pouring funny, we'll kind of get in venue and kind of make sure that we sort it out. So yeah, going above and beyond in terms of making sure that you've got everything you need to serve great.
Very good with logistics as well, I know Lucky saying. Genuinely on tap with venues, I've heard from many people that you're a dream to work with. So. And I think, Hattie, have you got a point on?
I was just going to say, I think it's important to consider the actual ingredients of a non-alcoholic drink. So for me, if I was to have something that was sort of very high in sugar content, I'm unlikely to want to drink another one of them. So actually also looking at the health benefits, and obviously it's a whole other conversation around the functional drinks space, but that's, rapidly growing, and I think it's an interesting space. But I think, that also appeals to a broader market of people that are being very health conscious, and they want a drink that supports that.
Do we have any other questions from the lovely people in the room? I see a hand.
I think it was lovely to hear everyone's reflections of 10 years ago and how much the industry has changed. But if everyone could put their genie hats on, rub the crystal ball, what does 10 years in the future look like for the industry?
For me, 10 years in the future looks, it looks very similar to what venues look like now. It's just for every 10 taps in a pub, I'm going to talk about beer because obviously, for every 10 taps with alcohol, you might have 3 taps without alcohol, 4 taps without alcohol. You won't have a token lager or a fridge full of Guinness, as good as it might be, Heineken, shit, Peroni, yeah. Erdinger, I'd rather have this. Choice will be about choice. You won't be dictated on which venue you'll go to based on its selection, because you'll just trust that there will be a selection in every venue. And that can be as little as 2 options, 3 options, just more than. It won't be dictated to us what we're going to have, and we won't think, oh, thank God for something here that isn't, one of those macro brews. That's what I think the future would be. Well, it would be lovely if the future was like that. Where I think the future could go is macro dominance, and I think we've got a real risk of that. This is me being a little bit negative now, but I think as the category grows, we've got a real potential that these big macro brands are just going to flood venues with really mid-range options, and that the wonderful alcohol-free drinks sector will be niche, and kind of it will be an occult thing that will never go away, but just won't be as relevant. I think in reality we'll see a blend of both. I think 2026 is going to be the year of alcohol-free beer on draft. I'm hoping that 2027, 2028, 2029, etc. will be the year of indie breweries cracking supermarkets, and Lucky Saint releasing a bitter and a stout.
I think to talk to the point around sort of beyond the drink space and more around the sobriety conversation, I sometimes liken it to the sort of tobacco industry, where it was so mainstream at one stage, almost to a point where you couldn't imagine it not being. And actually, it's sort of, been pushed to the sidelines, and the health implications of it have been increasingly understood. And I do see that being reflected in the sort of alcohol and the sobriety movement. And I think I was at the Club Soda No and Low conference last year, and just the energy and the enthusiasm from the attendees there and these different non-alcoholic drinks companies in the functional drinks space was it was electric. It was really exciting, and looking at the data that supported that as well, it does just feel like this growing movement that I absolutely don't see stopping. And sort of to look beyond the 10 years, you've now got generations growing up in families that alcohol maybe isn't as prevalent, it isn't sort of in that daily ritual. And I think that's a really an interesting sort of space that it will change the perception and the sort of the normalising of alcohol. And certainly not to demonise alcohol, but I just think the space for non-alcoholic drinks is here to stay.
That is absolutely my point as well. I think we talked about the Dry January Challenge being a time that people can make choices with fewer questions and greater acceptance. And, we want to see that year round. There's been huge strides in the stigma around making your own personal choices around what your relationship with alcohol looks like, but we've still got a long way to go. So continuing to move that needle and making so that whatever your relationship with alcohol looks like, it's not something that needs to be interrogated except from yourself, and that the tools and resources that you need to shift that however you see necessary are readily available. But yeah, reducing stigma and empowering personal choice, which I don't understand why that's...
Well, it's an issue. It really shouldn't be, should it? Well, long may those resources be available. Long may Alcohol Change UK be not only doing the Dry January Challenge, but all of the incredible things that they do all year round. Long may the fantastic brands that are a part of this wonderful Dry January Challenge continue to produce incredible things like bitters and stouts. And yeah, long may options, because that's the thing, isn't it? Options. We're just here to talk about options. It's really not that tough, is it? So with that, I think it's time for me to say, you can all leave now. No, it's time for me to say a big thank you to all of our fantastic panelists, to the guys at Chance, Clean Cider for being wonderful sponsorship partners for the Sober Boozers Club podcast, to all of my lovely studio audience members for joining me, the wonderful folks at Coolbox for all of their work. Cheers, really. Here's to the Dry January Challenge 2026. Cheers.